Hello, everybody, and welcome to PepTalks. And how are you, folks? We're on YouTube again, and this is going to be our home, YouTube. YouTube is great for filming all kinds of stuff. And guess who's back from the road? Steve Lolli.
Hey, everybody.
Steve, let me just... Ain't got no cigarettes. King of the road. You know that old Roger Miller song?
I don't even know. I never heard of Roger Miller.
Too big, I'm pushing. I don't know the words right now. I used to. But anyway, welcome back. You were in New York.
Yeah.
Where were you?
I was on Long Island.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Now, Long Island, nothing against Long Island, but there's a lot of troglodytes there. A lot of people who are just trying to live, but they can't.
I knew an old lady once who said to me, she was based here in L.A., and she said, she had this voice, I like going to New York because I fit in with all the troglodytes.
Did she say that?
She used to say that, yeah. But I think she meant appearance-wise. She was, to people who were too attractive here, and when she went to New York.
You know, I used to, and this isn't to brag, and I know a lot of you don't live this type of life that I have, but I used to date my history professor. And she was super educated. She spoke 4 languages. I was 20. She was 40. So I learned a lot from her. And I don't recommend it, by the way, because I was hurt in that relationship because that kind of age difference, 40 to 20, I put her on a pedestal, literally on a pedestal because she was short. She was really short. No. But she knew 4 languages and stuff. And
were you in love with her?
Yes, I was. Well, what is love, by the way? I was infatuated with her. I was obsessed with her. I was in love. I don't know. What is love? You're in love with somebody.
I am in love with somebody.
How's that going?
It could be going better.
Steve, for those of you just catching up, Steve has not had sex.
Yeah, it's almost a year.
Since an accident.
Yeah.
Which it sounds like a soap opera, like, since the accident.
It sounds like a really funny joke. I mean, it's a great thing to call back. Nobody has to really know the meaning of it. It's a wonderful, it's just, have you been laid since the accident? No,
right.
I haven't been laid since the accident.
But, so, anyway, she used the word troglodyte. And she was very educated. And I was like, what does that mean? And this was how the relationship went. And this is why I don't recommend you get involved with people who are twice your age because they know more than you. Date people close to your age. You have the same references. Like you could both talk about little Jay-Z, Lil Wayne.
So she was using you for the sex. She was living out her.
Now, I have been used for sex a lot, and that's why the Me Too movement strikes a chord with me, because I am often used like that, still to this day.
Was this on Long Island that this happened, or Brooklyn?
No.
Where was this?
This was in Greenwich Village, Manhattan. That's where she lived. She lived in Greenwich Village, and I was born in Brooklyn, and at 9 years old, we moved to Staten Island, troglodytes, in both those places, but particularly Staten Island and Long Island, where you performed, and that's what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
Besides warning people about dating and being with people twice your age, it just doesn't work. Yes, it could be sexually compatible for a while.
But that's a good bridge. There's still value to that.
What?
The sexual bridge.
Well, for you there is. You haven't had sex since an accident.
And I feel fine. So Long Island.
So Long Island and Staten Island are places where there are troglodytes, which means not your most educated, not your most sophisticated, people who get up just screaming in pain about,
Not to be confused with the Philistine. The Philistine and the troglodyte are similar, right?
Well, tell me what a Philistine is, because I've heard it.
I always thought it was a troglodyte.
Tell me what a Philistine is without using the word
person who doesn't read a lot of books or watch interesting films.
Oh, yeah.
Not somebody
but pretends to, though. Oh, you see, that's what a Philistine is. If you know what a Philistine is, call the number below. If there's no number below, just scream it out. We're on YouTube, for Christ's sakes. Let's get it together. But anyway, so you were in Long Island, and how did the shows go?
Badly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, badly.
Now,
I wasn't, but I was unprepared. To be fair, I was.
Why were you now? You were traveling across the country. You know, it's an interesting thing when comics travel. I always say to myself, and I'm sure you could relate to this. I say to myself, well, you know, I haven't had time to prepare, but I'll prepare on the plane. It's like a 5-hour flight, but I never do on the plane. I always kind of sleep or listen to music.
Well, I can't prepare unless I'm going on stage. Me preparing means I went on stage before I left. I didn't. I was lazy. And I also thought the Long Island crowd was going to be like the city. I figured New York, you know. For me, not being from New York, the city people and Long Island people didn't seem that, in my limited amount of experience, didn't seem that different.
But you learned differently?
Like walking, smashing your head into a brick wall.
That kind of?
Yeah, not, you know, bad, just really bad. I'd rather perform in Orange County than...
You what?
I'd rather perform in Orange County than in Long Island.
I've never had that much success in Orange County. And I'm not even talking about performing there. I'm talking about walking the streets. In Orange County, I haven't had much
selling
success.
Door to door.
Yes, as you know, I used to sell yams door to door. No, I mean that's when when yams were big, and I just had a suitcase full of yams, and I would knock on the door, and I just throw yams, like they would open. I would I tell you what I'm going to do, and I would throw yams into their apartment. You see those yams over there? Let me in, and I would break in. And it was a home invasion, essentially, and I worked for no one but myself. All right, I wasn't selling yams. I was home invading. But you have to do what you have to do, right? And I had to do that. So that's too bad. So you went to Long Island, and you weren't prepared, meaning you should have performed here in L.A. more before you left?
Yeah.
Now, why didn't you do that? Did you just have trouble getting stage time, or
but I was lazy, because I could have gone to an open mic. I know, but I could have done that. And I just went, like the face you just made, I went, I don't want to do that. So I didn't go do it. Mm-hmm. And then I went out to this show, and I figured, it'll be great. I'll just phone. I figured I'll use my best material that I know works. and I watched the comics before me, and I was like, they're not great, and they're doing really well. And I thought, well, I'll do even better.
That always worries me when comics who are not great are doing really well.
Yeah.
Because I'm then thinking, well, the audience is,
they're fucking stupid.
Right? They're not that bright or whatever. And by the way, this is. I don't mean it just for Long Island. I mean it for all of you. You're not that bright.
And they're not. Mm-hmm. And they're not. And it makes it worse because you're not going to convince stupid people that you're sophisticated. Stupid people are not.
No, our job as the comedian is to make them fucking laugh. That's the bottom line, is you have to make people laugh. And you have to find out what makes them laugh. You could say bad things about them like we are now, and we both really mean it. But you have to make them laugh.
I told them to go fuck themselves. I told them
You did?
Yeah, halfway through. I told them,
how long was your set?
All stupid, and you can all go fuck yourselves.
Did you say that?
Yeah, I said that to them.
And it must have went really well from there. No, how long was your set?
I think that was like a coffin nail. I think it was 20 minutes. 20 minutes. All my sets were 20.
And was that at the 10-minute mark that you told them?
I can't be exactly precisely sure, but
around halfway.
Somewhere in the middle. You know what? I do this tester joke. I do this tester joke. And if the audience laughs at it, I think it's a really good joke. So if the audience laughs at it, I go, okay, now they've given me permission. Mm-hmm. Now they've let me know they're cool. And they were just silent during this joke. And I went, oh, fuck them. I'm just going to phone it in from here. And it didn't go well. But my mind wasn't elastic. I couldn't think on my feet, and I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared. It was my fault. Because I've gone on.
By the way, it's very funny that Steve is now blaming himself when he's called the audience stupid. So who really is at fault here? It sounds like it's Steve. Because if I would have went up, I think I would have done very well because I'm performing a lot.
Yeah,
lately.
that's true, right.
And that is the key. You're not performing as much.
Right.
Like to do stand-up, and this is to all the young people out there. And by the way, young people, don't date anyone twice your age. But
while not doing stand-up.
But you have to do a lot of stand-up if you're thinking about doing stand-up. You have to do it a lot. And I'm doing it a lot lately. And you just... One thing you get is confident and fearless when you're doing a lot. And you have to bomb. You have to bomb. That's another thing if you're thinking about becoming a stand-up. And older people become stand-ups. I'm 22 right now, but it's aged me. If I look older, it's just that this business has aged me.
It's taken a toll on you, Eddie.
By the way, I'm going to film the ABC show tomorrow, Speechless. I just want people to know who have just, they're bopping around YouTube and they see us and go, who the fuck? They're calling people troglodytes and idiots? Fuck him. Yeah, well, I'm on Speechless tomorrow.
He's bragging.
I'm filming it tomorrow. It's not airing tomorrow, but I'm on Speechless. Okay? Does that leave you speechless? Huh?
Since you can't respond.
All you kids with your Hulu and your Apple TV, this is network TV.
Nobody's watching it anymore.
Nobody's watching it. Yet Minnie Driver is on that show.
What does that say about our America, that nobody's watching and they're still hemorrhaging money? They're still hemorrhaging money and nobody's watching. What the fuck is that about?
I think what all the networks are doing now, they're going on online platforms, like they're selling their episodes to different,
right?
Whether it's Amazon or Netflix or Hulu, or
they're getting eyes on advertising somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Except the thing is, when you watch stuff online, you watch it so you don't have to watch advertising, right? That's why I watch shit.
But they still stick advertising in there, and you got to skip it sometimes. You don't notice that?
Well, skip ads on YouTube. They let you skip it in like 4 seconds. 5 seconds.
But I think even other platforms.
Oh, yeah. Now, I don't know. I still have fucking cable. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, why don't you get rid of that?
I'm going to get rid of it. I guess I have it because of sports, but then again, I can watch sports on...
What?
Online.
On an app.
I have the app for the Rangers. I'm a Ranger fan. Go. First of all, where are my dogs at? Where are my dogs at? So anyway, you did. Where are my dogs at? They were let out in the backyard.
So I was on Long Island, and I did these shows, and they were fucking rough. And I started what starts happening to me is I question, should I really be doing this? Do you go through that if you have a bad set?
Well, of course.
Or do you remember that feeling? Yeah. What am I doing here? And then I see other comics on TV or with a special, and I go, oh, maybe I should be doing what they're doing. So I go through that, and then I'll have one good set, and then it'll all come back, and I'll go, oh no, they're wrong.
How many sets did you do in
3?
3. Any good ones?
The last one was also horrible, but I said what I meant. I said what I meant.
Good.
And I said some things that I like to say instead of things that I feel are going to be pleasing.
Right.
So that felt good. That felt really good.
You were starting to, because it was your third set, you were starting to just kind of get into your groove again a little bit and inhabit yourself. By the way, that's what you have to do if you're younger. Inhabit yourself. A lot of kids don't inhabit themselves. They are in their devices. Do you know what a device is? It's your phone. It's your iPad. I have an iPad right here. Why do I sound like Brody Stevens right now? I have an iPad right here. 818 for life. You ready? Hey, okay, so yeah. I understand that we were having some feed problems with my mic. You heard Steve, but you didn't hear me. So hopefully you're hearing me now live. The audio was fine, but it was just having a problem live. And I was going to bring up the fact that now you were away for the California fires, and there were fires in this area. There were fires up north. Just terrible, terrible tragedies, so far 50 people have died, and
a bunch more are missing, right? There's a bunch of people missing.
Yeah, and it's just what we have talked about, and what's amazing is if you watch it on the news, they never mention climate breakdown. They never mention the fact. Jerry Brown did, the governor of California. He said this is the new abnormal. He called it. He said this is the new abnormal. It's not normal, but this is the way it is. Climate change. And I don't know if you followed it, but Trump tweeted in the middle of this disaster, right? People dying. Trump tweeted terrible mismanage by the California forestry system.
I did see that. Yes, I saw that.
So he doesn't. First of all, he never knows what he's talking about. He always tries to make the story about him because he knows that if he tweets something like that, people are going to talk about, oh, that Trump, what a piece of shit. And that's what he wants. He just wants the conversation to be about him, even if it's bad. But it was really bad because, and then he comes back and says, let's pray for the victim. But he got slammed. And this is who, the establishment has to be slammed by. He got slammed by firefighters who came out publicly to say, that's really hurtful.
Well, give him the rope and let him hang himself.
Well, he does.
That's what I say. I got to tell you this on the Long Island story. My cousin lives out there. My cousin and his wife, and I stayed with them while I was out there. Mm-hmm. And they had Fox News on. In the morning when I'd wake up, they'd have Fox News on. And
this is your cousin.
My cousin in Plainview. He's in Plainview, and his wife, which is like by Hicksville. Literally, there's a place called Hicksville.
Wow.
And they live there.
Enough said.
But they're Queens people. Like, he's a Queens guy. Anyway.
Is he a Fox News guy?
Well, I think his wife is, and he just he walks in and he says, "Can we put some real regular TV on?" And I don't think he's apolitical, but he's a Trump supporter. He's a Trump supporter, and so is she. And so he took me to, and I love them, by the way. They're my family. I love them. They took very good care of me while I was there and everything. But so on Sunday, he said, "We're gonna go watch football. You want to go watch football? We're gonna go." And Joey Fats. He goes, "We're going to go see Joey Fats." Now, I got to warn you, Joey Fats he doesn't like black people. So he doesn't like black people. So he's going to drop. So he takes me to this Sunday. They're all Trump Republicans. They're all Trump. Every guy there was a Trump Republican guy. And I'm just sitting there and I'm picking up the conversation. I'm like, and the guy he said was racist didn't say anything racist while I was there, to be fair. Right. He never said. And then afterward, Corey said, "Hey, he must be, his girl must be giving him some love because I didn't hear him say anything. He didn't drop any N-words while we were there." So I'm sitting there, and at some point, they said something to me political, and I just turned and I said, "Fuck Trump." I said, "Fuck Trump. I'm a lefty. I think you should know. I'm a left-wing guy."
You said that
I said, as I was getting some potato chips. I said, you should know. I said, "Fuck Trump. I'm a lefty, so you better know how." And the guy Joey Fats, to his credit, this guy, they were all about to attack me. I mean, verbally. And the guy Joey Fats goes, "Hey, wait a minute. We got a guy with a different opinion here. We don't get a guy like you around. Can we ask you some questions? Because this would be good to get a fresh perspective."
Really?
Yeah. So now,
Joey Fats, for those of you who don't know, he went to Harvard Divinity School. Joey tours the country giving speech. Wouldn't that be funny if, like, a guy named Joey Fats, who you're describing, was, "Hey, everybody, look, we got a situation here. It ain't good. Okay, it ain't fucking good." And he's considered really scholarly.
Yeah,
like this will be the dumbing down of America.
They believe everything about Trump. Like everything they're fed from right wing news, they believe. But so we're having this conversation.
So scary.
We're having this conversation.
Yeah,
and they're all coming at me.
Did they know you were Jewish?
Well, yeah, they know because I'm Corey's cousin.
Oh, okay.
So they know he's a Jew. So they've got to know I'm Jewish. They're all Italian. I think they're all Italian.
Right.
All these guys, or they're Irish. Everybody seems like they're Italian in New York. Anyway, so this guy, they're asking me questions, and like normally in a conversation where you're getting attacked, it's 90 questions at once. So I said to him, "Look, let's just choose one thing, and I'll answer it the best I can."
By the way, I see you like in the middle of a room, tied up, and they're asking you questions, like you're
with like cigar smoke and a pool table.
Yeah, and you're gagged, but they want you to answer.
They were nice, man.
I know,
They were actually
I know.
So they let me, and I said my piece and everything, and to the best of my ability. And the guy, to their credit, these guys would say, "Oh, I kind of agree with that. I can agree with that."
Yeah.
It was like they don't get the discourse, so they don't have, and I'm not the worst at explaining what I think and stuff, but, I'm basically telling them what I think about stuff. And I said, I see why you voted for Trump, because he was an outsider, but, he's draining the swamp into your living room.
Right, but here's the thing that I understand, that if Bernie would have run, like if the DNC didn't conspire, if the Clinton campaign and the DNC and Clinton ran the DNC, they didn't conspire to get Bernie out, and the media had given Bernie some coverage, instead of doing Trump the reality show, I understand a lot of the Trump voters would have voted for Bernie.
Yeah.
Now, that's possible, though, that Trump would have painted Bernie as a commie, a socialist commie, and, he probably, he might have been able to do that, but...
But half of the guys in that room, when they asked me, they said to me, they're going to roll out Biden. We're going to win again. That's what they said. They're going to give us Biden or Warren, and we're going to win again. And I said, well, what if they roll out Sanders? And half the guys in that room were afraid of Sanders. They said, he's going to beat Trump. So
really?
The Republicans are afraid of Sanders. And a bunch of them admitted that Trump might have lost to Sanders. These are Republican guys. These
By
are
the way,
hard line.
What are these guys, if you knew or not, what do they do for livings? This is interesting. Like because... in order to be a Trump supporter, well, there's a racist element to that for sure. Because what Trump does is that, and this is what all tyrants do, right, is that he demonizes groups, He demonizes immigrants, the caravan, that nonsense. And that's what Fox News, which, they demonize groups instead of showing who the real enemy is, and the real enemy is corporate power.
Well,
corporations have fucked over these guys living in Queens and Long Island.
This is what their idea of entitlements. Entitlements are killing our economy, and we can't keep letting people who aren't from here in, and they get everything for free. So this was their thing. So I said to them, and by the way, it was like throwing water on a fucking brick wall. It made no dent. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll fight for to get rid of all your entitlements if you fight for the 50 times of corporate welfare that we give to the rich and the banks. Yeah. Because, we're paying the rich and the banks. Yeah. And it's not, and we've been doing this for 40 years, and it's not helping the economy. And it was like, their response to that was, you're always blaming somebody else. You're always blaming. But
they're blaming somebody else.
It's all right-wing. This is the right-wing discourse. This is their Sean Hannity, head up the Hannity thing. Anyway, here's the most ironic part. Mm-hmm. This is the thing that was the most amazing. And it didn't occur to me till afterward. These are hardcore Trump supporters. They're all sitting around watching the NFL. They're all watching the NFL. You know what they were protesting? The fucking Jets. The Jets suck. They should all be fired. But no one in that fucking room ever said, maybe if we're Trump supporters, we shouldn't be watching the NFL. And this is what I took away from this. Trump is so fucking out of touch. He thinks that his hardcore supporters are going to give up the fucking NFL. So there's hope. There's hope because this guy he thinks the stock market's rigged against him. He's
who?
Give him Trump.
Oh.
He thinks the stock market's rigged against him. So I say,
does he?
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
And I've never heard
when
that.
the stock market's dropped, it's in the news. He said, it's rigged against me.
Well, yeah. Well, another thing tyrants do, and we're in a place in American history where it's getting to be, possibly fascist, is that they throw bullshit around, like the lies, and he's a master at it. Just bullshit, fake news, and people, they get confused, and you can't come back with logic because he'll just say, fuck you have fucking fake news, and there's no real discourse. It's just emotional horse shit.
Right. Well, talking points that they heard Rush Limbaugh say.
These are fucking idiots, and
But they listen to me.
No, I'm not talking about the guys who were in that room. They're just they don't. What is it, man? They have never been exposed to the long con that's going on in this country, and the long con since Reagan is that working men and women, who these guys are, right, they have been, completely thrown under the bus by both parties. We were talking about before we got on, and not to brag that we talk before. Now, you people, you don't talk before something. Like if there's an event, like this is an event, me and Steve will talk before out in the anteroom, and you don't have an anteroom either.
That's the first time I've ever heard you call that an anteroom. What the fuck is an anteroom?
An anteroom is a room that is the exact opposite of the room you're in now. No, but we were saying that. What were we saying?
I don't remember.
Out there.
What were we saying out there?
No, but it was about. This doesn't look good.
We were talking about your comedy special.
Well, that was one thing we're talking about, and again,
not to brag,
we're talking about me doing a comedy special pretty soon, and I know what you're thinking. This guy isn't funny. Well, we're not being funny right now. We're talking about the fact that corporate power is the real demon. You don't want to talk about fucking immigrants. They're not the real demon. These poor people in a caravan, they're fleeing fucking violence that the United States created.
It's the bedrock. The immigrants and the entitlement is the bedrock on which all conservative ideology is built. If you take out
I just feel so good. I feel so good that I'm a working class guy. I'm a troglodyte, but you know what? I'm a troglodyte who fucking was exposed to real intellectuals who speak truth to power. And the only way we're going to fucking overthrow this government is for troglodytes like me, but I'm enlightened in this political way, is troglodytes to get their heads out of their asses, and start understanding that the people screwing you are your fellow fucking Americans, elites, the oligarchs, the fucking, they keep screwing you. As a matter of fact, what Trump has done with the tax cuts, it's a nightmare what he's done with these tax cuts. But we have some ads. We have some great sponsors. Steve, you just got back, so why don't you read the first sponsor? It's
Speaking of corporate power, ladies and gentlemen, here's an ad.
And these ads are great. And this one is Zippy Ice. They have been terrific sponsors, Steve.
I had some. They're big on the East Coast, yeah.
Zippy Ice, all over.
There's been some confusion on this podcast between Zippy Exotic Ice Delivery and America's Immigration and Customs Enforcement League. There is one major difference. ICE separates children from their families and puts them in cages, while Zippy Ice delivers delicious and exotic ice from the mines of Johimium to your door anywhere in the continental United States in around 2 weeks. Hypothetically, Zippy Ice partners may use child labor in mines possibly inhabited by a family of hairless Neanderthals lurking in the shadows and hungry for the blood of Christian children. But never would we let those hypothetical children be caged. Like my mother always said, a caged child can't run from a shrieking 7-foot-tall naked albino lusting for the taste of human blood. Our job isn't to feed hordes of cave-dwelling cannibals. Our job is to deliver delicious and possibly child-harvested ice to your doorstep. Remember, you haven't tasted ice till you've tasted Zippy Ice.
So Zippy Ice, and thanks to Matt Rasamoto, or Mato, you say Mato, I say Mato. You say Mato.
I say Moto.
I say Moto. Matt Rasamoto, our producer, for writing these ads, which are real. And I hope everybody's confused about that. They should be. And Zippy Ice, ICE, is not the immigration service that the troglodytes like, thinking that that's going to be the answer to their problems. It's not.
I have had people ask me if these ads are real.
Also, we get phone calls. And if you guys want to leave a message for the show, it's 424-262-0904. That's 424-262-0904 if you want to leave a message to the show. We've had a couple of messages. Let's see what we have. Just two nice ones. Here we go. Here we go. Ready? First message.
Hey, Eddie. Wyatt here. Been a big fan of yours for many years. Listen to your podcast all the time. And recently I've been having just really bad anxiety and panic attacks. And I guess I'm just curious. I know that you struggle with the same thing just from listening and being a fan of yours. I'm wondering how you cope with it and how you deal with it, how you can live a better life past, all the crazy anxiety. Anyways, I hope all's well and hope to see you perform soon. I am leaving this message from Phoenix, Arizona.
Thank you, Wyatt. And Wyatt brought up just living life with anxiety, panic attacks. Now, I suffer from them, panic, anxiety, not so much. I went on. Just one thing, Wyatt, is if they're really bad, if they get really bad and constant, which happened to me, and I started to fear driving in traffic in LA and just feared a lot of things. I eventually went back on medication. I had taken a 6-year break from meds, and now I'm on Zoloft, and it has helped. It definitely has helped, but I want to say, and it's not a panacea. It's not a panacea. You have to use many tools to combat anxiety, spirituality. And now what I mean by spirit, and Steve relates to this, but spirituality, what I mean by spirituality is kind of being quiet, meditation, connecting with more than Fox News and TV and phones and apps, like breathing, being quiet, breathing, connecting to your version of God. And it's nice to have that. And then another thing I realized that's very important is that anxiety, deep anxiety or panic attacks, and I always looked at it this way, is that it is your psyche telling you there's something you're ignoring in your life. There's something that you're not there's something you're not honoring in your life. There's something you're not tending to. And what I mean by that is that do the things in life that give you joy. Like if you love going to the movies, make some time to go to the movies. If you always wanted to play guitar, play guitar. Start doing the things that'll make you happy. Don't always do things that you think you should be doing. Do you have anything to add to that?
It seems like, I've had panic attacks, but I don't know that I got them like you did regularly. But it seems like you're not able to live in your own power. Your own power isn't enough, so you need a higher power. And so what I do when it happened to me is I went somewhere where I could be alone, and I breathed deep through my nose, out through my mouth, and I prayed and I cried. I mean, that's literally what I did. And I wept, and I got to some place of truth where whatever it is for you. I mean, for me, it was being dishonest a lot because I was embarrassed of my money situation and my not being successful enough and all of that. And it didn't bother me for a long time. Then it caught up with me, and I just had to cry and pray. And breathe.
Cry and pray.
Man, I mean...
cry and pray, and do it in your car if you can, because nobody, but pull over. Pull over. A lot of people, when they're crying and praying, they're doing it on a highway and causing traffic jams. I'm kidding, but what you're talking about, Steve, is kind of, like really feeling your pain. We push it away. We push away grief. We push away shame instead of kind of dealing with it. So what I was saying, too, is that there's many tools. Therapy, having someone to talk to. You joined a synagogue, right? And your synagogue softball team is now 5-0, which is great. No, I'm kidding.
We're called. Our name is Seem Shalom.
But
we're the New York Giants of the softball.
Hey, the Giants won this week. But yeah, so different tools like meditation. I started meditating again, and it's been really good for me. Since I've been meditating, I've meditated like the last week, my stand-up has gotten so good. Like, I know, just like I have become like so relaxed on stage. And Saturday, I was at the Comedy Store, and it was a rowdy night. And I brought up the fact that there's been fires. You were away, but there's been horrible, tragic fires here, due to fucking the fact that, we've had a drought here in California for many years, and things are just going up like tinder. The Santa Ana winds came, and by the way, I was talking to a casting director. It was hilarious. You have to have a sense of humor, even though it's total tragedy. He turns to me, where I was doing a voiceover for Bob's Burgers. So that's two things I've thrown at you. I did Bob's Burgers this week. And I'm doing Speechless tomorrow.
We went from personal tragedy to spirituality to what Eddie's working on.
Look, Wyatt, it's really about booking things. No. But anyway, this was a funny thing. This casting agent just turns to me. We're talking about the fires, and he just goes, "Did you hear Miley Cyrus's house burnt down?" Like, that was the most important thing to him. And I thought that was kind of funny. Like, her house is more important.
And by the way, in the news, that's all that they talk about in the news feeds.
Celebrities,
houses.
And they're the only ones who could basically afford building new ones.
Well, they're the only ones who can afford to live in Malibu anyway.
True. That's true.
I wonder how Bob Dylan's house is doing.
Oh, I hope it's okay. I love Dylan. Yeah.
Anyway.
But, right. So, just different things to cope with anxiety. I hope, Wyatt, some of this has helped, but you have to use everything too, connection to spirituality, meditation, doing, living your life the way you want to live it. I think a lot of anxiety is born from lies. You know what I mean? Like, living a lie, not being truthful to yourself,
not feeling loved enough can be not feeling.
All right,
like
you don't have to bring up
love.
You don't have to bring up me.
He's not bragging, but I was thinking of myself actually when I said that. But
you come from a loving environment.
I do. Man,
so why are you saying?
Because I still felt that way. I still felt that way for years.
Oh, I'm glad the Republicans attacked him. He is entitled, isn't he? He was loved when he was a child, and he didn't think he got enough.
Here's how it works, ladies and gentlemen. You got white trash on the bottom, and eventually they can afford to become white privilege. And then if they're really lucky, they can afford to get white guilt. And then if you're really lucky and really fortunate in life, you can create manufactured white suffering. That's my caste system for the Where I'm at is manufactured white suffering. Now.
But also, I want to say this about anxiety in today's world. I think you're not a very in touch person if you're not anxious. We live in a ridiculous, especially in America right now, we live in such an anxiety-provoking time. You know, we've seen the government devolve into just, you know, complete. It's completely corrupt. It's always been corrupt. Now it's completely corrupt. We see the polarization of America. At least people are starting to realize that and you mentioned it too, Steve, that we need to talk to each other. We everything is polarized. You know, the right, the left is polarized. Where we need to we need to talk to each other. But
wait, before you read an ad, don't you have things that you can be grateful for? Besides our sponsors, you have stuff that you could be grateful for. Gratitude and you know, Thanksgiving's coming up, and I make a corny joke. But if you're grateful for things like me, I was coming to meet you for the podcast, and as I was coming down the escalator to go to the train, as I was coming down the escalator, the train was pulling up. How often does that happen? And I went, you know what? I was like, that's so great. I'm not going to have to smell piss down here for 5 minutes. I'm getting right on the train. And that made my day. That actually made my day, yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, now that's a gift, being able to be grateful. I find that hard to do. But yes, you have to also, you know, and it's the small things, like the Buddhist. And anxiety, you know, anxiety is a great tool as well because it led me to Buddhism. That's kind of my conception of what you know, spirituality is, and it's like being still. It's they say God is in the silence. Do you believe that? If that's the case, my act has a lot of God in it.
Did you feel that silence? That was divine.
No, because when I'm on stage, there's a lot of silence. So maybe that's God talking to me.
You fill it with sound, though.
Yeah. So and also anxiety. So anxiety can be such a great tool to really kind of find what you really want to do, because I think there are so many people out there who push shit away with drugs, alcohol, sex. Well, not you. You haven't been late since the accident, but just people who fill up. You know, who push away anxiety with, and my biggest one lately is food. Like I, you know, sugar, you know. I do
that too. Food is a bad one. You know, like the picture of the guy with the big giant belly and the skinny neck, and he can never get that thing full because of that skinny neck. You ever seen a picture of this guy?
No.
It's a little cartoon. It's like, I don't know if it's Hindu or Buddhist, but it's a metaphor for the skinny neck and the giant belly can never be filled.
Why?
Because he's got this skinny neck.
Oh, he can never get it
enough down. Neck can never put enough down.
Well, I was very conscious the other day. I was eating like anything I wanted. It was a cheat day, and I have a cheat day. It's every day, my cheat day. And you ever hear of cheat day?
What were you eating on this particular day?
Well, I was eating I was like going from a sandwich, and then I would eat sugar. And I realized that this was the realization that hit me, and it was kind of depressing, but also enlightening, is I realized nothing's going to satisfy me. It's about trying to be sated, satisfied, comforted.
You, yeah.
But we have another sponsor that I want to get to, and thank you, Wyatt, for that call. Let anxiety be your guide is basically what I'm going to say there. So this is AmeriSweets, and I want to thank Matt Rasamoto. I want to thank Matt Rasamoto for writing these ads that are real. Matt Rasamoto, our producer, went on tour, and this is for AmeriSweets, and they've been great. They've been great. You were just on tour. Went on tour. Members of the All Things Comedy family stay at AmeriSweets hotels. Whether playing the illustrious Sheboygan Improv Dump or Paris, Iowa's very own Uncle Farty's Chuckle Farm. It's good to know that at the end of the night we can find solace in one of AmeriSuite's spacious and family-sized rooms. At any day of the week, your favorite comedians can be found lounging around the dining hall, exhausted from exploring all the options of AmeriSuite's own bountiful breakfast buffet. Don't be afraid to start a conversation. Comedians love to talk to strangers, especially while eating. Grab a selfie with an exhausted humorist seeking respite after driving around Bristol all night because their manager can't remember which Dunkin' Donut has them listed as featured. Wrestle a comic checking into their room after 3 sets of screaming hilarious jokes because the PA system at Der Fluffernutter in Pollywog caught fire. Barge into an AmeriSuites today and demand that the chuckle makers perform for you. Now that is how you Americize.
Thank you, AmeriSuites.
AmeriSuites, yeah. Thank you. They were great.
The rooms are always ready when you get to town.
Absolutely. I'm gonna hear that again. But yeah, gratitude is a big thing, and like. When the fires were happening, now the fires, of course, were not near me because the fires are in the canyons. But Malibu, I guess Malibu's in a canyon, huh?
Well, there is Malibu Canyon, then there's Malibu on the coast, so it's all of that.
Yeah, and that's for people who have money, and it's up where the brush is, where
everything's dry.
Where everything's dry, and I'm just where I have been my whole life is just in concrete. Concrete reality.
How was the air quality really bad out here?
Well, it did, and that's what freaks me out. And it was smoky, like my eyes were burning, and I also have some respiratory issues because I used to sand floors like a troglodyte does.
Did you really sand floors?
Yeah, and my boss back then was not a great guy, and he didn't give us
the proper
breathing
equipment
stuff.
Yeah,
I also have tinnitus from that job because sanding floors, you use these heavy machines that are very loud, and you're supposed to have stuff to protect your ears, and we didn't have great stuff. It was horrible. It was on Staten Island. And why did I bring that up, the sanding?
No, because of the
fires. Yeah. I'm sorry. By the way, sometimes I'll lose my train of thought, but I always find the thread, and that's what separates me from people who are institutionalized. Oh my God! But
hey, a year ago we had really bad fires. You remember that? Remember a year?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know how these fires have been, but they've
been horrible.
But I was on my bike last year when those fires were happening, and when Sepulveda Pass was on fire, which is L.A., and it smelled like a chemical barbecue.
Yeah, we had that here. I mean, where I was in the valley. It was bad for a couple of days, and then the winds would shift. It all depends on the winds, and they've been better lately.
For us,
I think there's more containment on the fires too, so people will forget about them soon until the next one. But it was really bad out here, and in Thousand Oaks they had a mass shooting.
Yes, I saw that.
12 people killed by an ex-Marine.
Decorated Marine, by the way.
Mm-hmm. And he walked into a bar and shot 12 people. And that's in Thousand Oaks.
And then the
fires. And people were just coming from a vigil, and they had to evacuate their homes. So, wow, that's tragedy.
That's crazy-ass shit,
on top of tragedy, man. Let's see. Now there's another call. Let's go to this one. Here we go. Ready?
Hey, Pepitone. It's Ray from Indiana. Just listened to your latest podcast. Been listening to you for a minute now. And I know Todd Glass loves you, and I do too. And I love me some James Adomian. I'd love for you to call me back, if at all possible, at 260-560-896. but you're the man. And everything you said on that last one, on point. So with that, my friend, I bid you adieu, and happy farewell. Thank you. Bye-bye.
That's got to be a great one. That's just...
Yeah, I just want. I took the phone away because he gave his number. I didn't want people to get his number, but thank you, Ray, for being a fan and calling in. And I mean, gratitude is big. Like, I need to be grateful for. You
make somebody's day, dude. Like that guy, you brighten up his, like you make his life better just listening to him. You could be a rabbi. You could probably be a rabbi or a pastor.
No, not yet. I haven't come through the other side yet. I think, well, maybe that's my problem. Is I think that in order to live a happy life, you have to be completely devoid of suffering. When it's just what life is being able to. And this is where meditation really helps, and higher power really helps. Is it's kind of living with suffering and being able to deal with it and continue. I think what happens, especially, someone like me, like my kind of psychological matrix, is that I'm always seeking comfort instead of dealing with discomfort. So when I push away the discomfort, it kind of comes back twice as hard.
Okay, but when you meditate, right, and you're in your meditation, and all these things are whizzing around your head, and as you breathe and you meditate, everything slows down.
Yes.
Right. And so, and let me ask you this, because for me, when those things slow down, I suddenly, through grace of God or Holy Spirit or whatever, I know everything's okay. I feel like everything's going to be okay, and sometimes I'll get a answer to something because these fast things that are going, I can't deal with this shit. It's all, there's too much, and then they slow down, and I get, oh wait, there's a simple answer that I was overlooking, but I slowed down and I'm still. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, and sometimes it's interesting. Meditation, those who've meditated will relate to this. Sometimes you sit there and you breathe, you follow your breath, or you have a mantra, or I do both. Not to brag again that I do both the mantra and the breathing. You can have what I have if you put your nose to the grindstone. But sometimes when I'm meditating, I will become aware of how fast my mind is going. And like just the thoughts are ping-ponging all over the fucking place. But at least I'm seeing that, because I think a lot of people are just identified, and I am too. It's not like I'm not. And by the way, when I speak about troglodytes early on, I full well know I am one, except I have a little bit more of, a viewpoint that isn't troglodytical.
Dude, the thread, the fact that there's the thread, there's always a continuing thread, and that's the only thing that separates you from a person in an institution. You got to write that down, because that's somewhere that belongs. Don't forget that, because that's fucking hysterical. That's true. It's hysterical because it probably is true. How do you?
There is going to be a day where I lose the thread.
I don't want to be around.
Oh, boy. All right, we have one more sponsor to read. And Aaron, how long have we gone? 53. We're good
it's
then.
Not bad.
WriterDuet, and this is a real sponsor. It's 2018. Almost no one watches more than 6 seconds of any online video. Facebook and YouTube consider any view longer than 3 seconds to be a win, regardless of the actual video length. So you need to make that first 3 seconds count. Don't just say whatever comes out of your untrained, waxy mush. Every word of the PepTalks podcast is carefully scripted and precisely measured against a system of machine-learned comedy and keyword-driven analytics 1,000 times more powerful than the computers used to fake the 1969 moon landing, and 100 times more powerful than the computers used during the secret moon landing in 1989, aka Aldrin's Revenge. Buzz Aldrin, terrific. The lizard people know what I'm talking about. Write the first 3 seconds of your online video using WriterDuet and see what a difference being prepared makes. You know, we went back to the moon in 1991 because Aldrin left his watch up there and was driving everybody crazy about it. It cost $200 billion. He found the Timex, but it had the wrong band. WriterDuet. The link is in the podcast description. That is actually a real sponsor, WriterDuet. And thanks, Matt Rasamoto, for very funny ads. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad we talked about a bunch of different topics. We talked about the fact that working people need to get hip to the long con. The enemy is not immigrants. The enemy is within. The enemy is corporate oligarchs, the top 1%, the top 1/10 of 1%, who are destroying the planet and breaking unions and taking jobs and pitting working men and women against each other throughout the world. Free Julian Assange. Assange is dying in captivity. All he did was make facts known that should be known. I want to say that. Free Julian Assange. What do you want? And follow me on Twitter at Eddie Pepitone. I will be at the Comedy Store tonight if you're watching live. I'll be at the Super Serious Show, the Virgil Theater. That's at 9 o'clock. Comedy Store at 10:45. Then I'm taping Speechless tomorrow. Hopefully the taping will be done where I will be performing tomorrow night at the Comedy Store as well. Stevie, anything?
Yeah, I just want to say one thing I forgot that disturbed me about these Trump guys was they think the fucking economy's great since Trump became president. And what the most disturbing thing about that is the Obama people who think he was a great president were saying the same shit.
Yeah.
And so these people who are in their own fucking, like, it's not like we're on the brink of a Great Depression.
You never answered the question
about
what do they do for livings?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't take a sampling poll of everything.
Okay.
But I got the idea that one guy was a stone worker, the other guy was
a stone worker.
They were,
or stoned worker. Stone. I used to be a stoned worker.
One of them was stoned. One of them was stoned.
Only one.
No, and nobody was drinking. That was another thing.
Really?
No, nobody was drinking. Anyway, they're just old time hustlers. These guys. I didn't really get an idea of what they do, but I got the idea that they're working and they're pissed off at people who whatever. But the idea that since
turn off Fox News, turn off MSNBC,
Trump became
turn
president.
off CNN. Read Chris Hedges, Noam Chomsky, John Ralston Saul, John Pilger. What other authors can you throw in there?
No, Chomsky and Hedges are the
Sheldon Woolen.
I can't think of any more off the top of my head, but
yeah. Read those guys and get your head out of your asses.
Pull your head out of your Hannity.
Do you have anything to plug?
Yeah, I'm going to be in Santa Barbara, ladies and gentlemen. Santa Barbara,
with
California.
The great Mark Brazil.
This show's going to be on fire.
Literally.
Mark Brazil, Stephen Lolli, me, and Derek Ellis will be there, one of my favorite comedians of all time, aside from Eddie. And Lori Kilmartin will be on that show. That's
great.
This weekend, this Saturday, the 17th at the Brazil Arts Cafe, and that's it.
Okay. So thanks, YouTube. Thanks, All Things Comedy. Thanks, Aaron, for being our producer here as well. He's engineering today, and sorry about the where my voice wasn't coming out the first few minutes on the live stream. It'll be up on SoundCloud tomorrow as well. Go to All Things Comedy for your podcast needs and comedy needs. And that's it, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everybody.